Are you wondering, is it better to rent or to buy in Fayetteville? Well, today I'm going to compare the rental market to the housing market. And I'm going to include costs so you can make a better decision if it's better for you to rent or to buy.
Nice.
Hello, I'm James, your local realtor. And if you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in the Fayetteville surrounding areas, please reach out to T and me. We would love to help you. We create videos so you can see how it is to live in Fayetteville and the surrounding areas. So let's go right into the topic. So a recent article that I read from Bankrate showed that renting a home is cheaper than buying a home in most major cities. As of February, the typical monthly mortgage payment for a medium price home, which is around $412,000 per Redfin, was $2,700 a month, while the typical rent was just over $1,900 a month. That is a big difference of $725 monthly, which is more than $8,600 a year. For some people, that extra $8,600 could be an emergency fund. So of course that article is for nationwide, but how is the housing rental market here in Fayetteville? So the rental market here is very good because we're next to the largest military base, probably on the East Coast, if not the world, Fort Liberty, Fort Bragg. So we have a very high demand of renters and a low amount of homes. So basically, in our economics 101, we have too many renters, not enough homes.
That's just an interesting fact.
And it's kind of going the same with the housing market also, but that's slowed down just a little bit. I'll get to that in just 1 second. So according to Karen De La Vega, Director of Operations for Homeowners, Property Manager of Fayetteville, a real estate property management company, they said there is a lack of inventory. De La Vega said by email Tuesday, if there's a good home, it's pretty much rented out fairly fast. So how does this compare to last year? Well, the median price range house apartment at this time is $1,350, and it is down from last year, which was $87 higher. But according to Zillow, month after month, it is $50 higher.
Damn.
So basically, if you're looking at overall from comparing 2023 to 2024, which I know, depending on when you're watching this video, that 2024, we're just in the end of July. So it's hard to compare it that far. So we have to go all the way back to July of 2023. So from there till now, that's what those numbers are showing. So a whole year ago, it's a whole lot better overall, $87 cheaper, but month over month, it's $50 higher. So I do not deal with rental apartments. Each apartment in Fayetteville is rented by usually a different company. You actually have to go to the apartment complex yourself, and if you're gonna rent, go there and talk to each individual property manager for each apartment. So let's say one of the apartment complexes here is called the Legacy at Cross Creek. They're one property management team. If you went to Carlson Bay, which is another one here locally, they're another company. So with all that being said, a medium price apartment studio in Fayetteville is $1,229, which is 20% less than last year, which is great. If you're going to rent a 2-bedroom apartment, it's going to be $1,192. A 1-bedroom apartment is $1,005. according to rent.com report. And rent in general is 36% less than the national average.
Yeah. That's right.
So the national annual median rent is $1,225, and Fayetteville is $775 cheaper than the national average. And I'm gonna throw some more stats at you. So Zillow said a medium price rental home in Fayetteville is $1,400 a month, which has not changed at all from last year. So that's good news if you're looking to rent. Obviously, rent has gone down just a little bit, but is still short inventory. Next thing I talk about is what is the average cost of renting an apartment in Fayetteville. So right now in 2024, the average rent for apartments in Fayetteville is between $1,035 and $1,199. That's for a studio apartment. When it comes to 1-bedroom apartments, the average rent in Fayetteville is $1,035. For a 2-bedroom apartment, the average rent is $1,180.
Wow.
And I know we just hit on it, but the average rental price for a home is around $1,400 a month. So I talked about rental prices, now I'm going to talk about home prices in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So the average price home in Fayetteville is between $240,000 to $260,000. So I'm on the website NerdWallet and I wrote down rent versus buy calculator with Fayetteville, North Carolina, and month after month it is definitely cheaper to rent a house than it is to buy a house. If you look at the cost breakdown, monthly cost $1,433. Buying a home, that's $250, is $1,863. Total cost obviously for the year, total cost obviously for buying a home. So yes, it is cheaper to rent a house than it is to buy a house, because all you have to worry about is the first month's rent and a security deposit, and then cut on your utilities. With buying a house, it's a little more complicated and more money up front. So you've got to put a down payment possibly, you've got to pay for closing costs, you got to pay for due diligence, home inspections, appraisals, title search, you name it.
It's just a lot. It's a lot to overcome.
Buying a house obviously is more money upfront costs. So if you live in the area already or you think about moving to the area, it is cheaper to rent a house than it is to buy a house or rent an apartment. I mean, just the upfront cost itself makes more sense if you don't have that money to buy a house. So next thing I talk about is going to be renting versus buying, short-term and long-term benefits. So basically the pros and cons of both. So the pros of renting a house is just predictability. You know what your rent's gonna be every month, especially if you sign a lease for 1 year. So let's say you signed a 1-year lease and your rent is $1,400 a month. You know it's gonna be $1,400 every month, unless you're late on your payment. That's a different story. With buying a house, you know your mortgage is gonna be the same amount every year. Now, taxes can go up, they can go down, but so can rent. And once you're up with that 1-year lease or 2-year lease, your landlord can raise the rent. So they're kind of even right there. So renting a house offers more flexibility. After 1 year or 2 years, if you want to move, you can move. There's nothing tying you to that property other than a contract or a lease for at least a year or two. You don't have to worry about fixing things. If something maintenance breaks down, then obviously your landlord, your property management team, not your team, but their property management people will fix the leak. If it's a leak, electrical problem, something like that. Now you will probably have to maintain the yard, the landscaping if you own a house. But if you rent a house, typically they're gonna make you cut your own grass, weed your own grass. Each landlord, property management team is different, so don't hold me to that. I know I have some rental properties that I rent out, and it is up to the tenant to cut their own grass. I don't care if they buy their own lawnmower or if they hire somebody to cut it or weed whack it. That's up to them, but they must maintain it themselves. Obviously, you live in a condo or a townhome or an apartment complex, that's not your problem. That's why you're paying higher at an apartment complex, because usually there's amenities like a pool, clubhouse, obviously to keep up with landscaping. Now be aware, if you're renting a house and just because something breaks down, that doesn't mean you have to pay anything. If you cause it to break down, good chance that they will charge you for it. For example, I rented out a house and their little boy obviously didn't do it on purpose, but he threw a ball into the toilet and it clogged the toilet. They didn't know he threw a ball in the toilet. We get there, obviously we open up the drain, ball in the toilet. And so I charged them for that because they should have it's not their fault. No one did it on purpose is what I'm trying to say. But, that's on them. I had to pay my plumber $100. I told them they owe me $100 and they had to pay it.
Pay me what you owe me.
Now, each landlord can be different. They may let you let one slide. That's up to you. But if it's something you caused, then you're probably going to have to pay for it. Of course, buying a home, now you inquire all the repair or expenses that come with buying a home. Nothing lasts forever. Even if you buy a brand new home, I'd say the most expensive things typically are going to be your roof, depending on the size of your house, could be up to $10,000, and your air conditioner. You definitely want an air conditioner in the summertime here. Probably in the winter too, but it's really hot here and humid, so you definitely want one up and running during the summertime. If you got HOA fees, you have to pay for those. Obviously, electrical problems, plumbing problems, anything like that, appliance breaks down, you are the one paying for it. Now you can get a home warranty to cover all that, and that's another video in itself. If you want more information about that, reach out to me. I'll talk about home warranties, but you can Google home warranty and about 10,000 of them will pop up. So what are the benefits of buying a home? Well, obviously just the pride of that you own a home now is one thing. Obviously it builds equity and you get a tax break on it. So for example is this, me and my wife bought our first house back in 2008 and we bought it for $105,000. Fast forward it, just last year we sold it for $190,000. So from 2008, let me see, that was 16 years, yeah, almost 16 years ago. Yeah, 2008, it's 2024 now. So 2008 to 2008, it's 10 years, yeah, 16 years ago. Bad at math, so bear with me. But yeah, so in 16 years we made some money off our house, and we also rented it out for the last 7 years. So we had someone else paying our mortgage because we rented it out, and so they're paying our mortgage. And you know, it was a great thing. We loved it. We got rid of it just because it was time to sell it, and we just got tired of having to keep the maintenance up on it. So it sucked as a landlord, but that's, you know, case by case basis with everybody else. I'll give you another example. A friend of mine bought a house about 25 years ago. About 25 years ago. And his son just turned 18, is about to go off to college. He bought it for $50,000 and he rented it out. It was an investment portfolio. He built it up. He sold it for $300,000 a couple years ago. I helped him sell it, and he was able to pay for his son to go to college. So definitely, you're always, when you have kids, maybe thinking, I gotta send them off to college. Let me start a little college fund. But if you buy a house, that's a great way to start. His rent, I think his mortgage was like $500 a month. He rented it out for $1,000. And then by the time he had it on for so long, obviously the rent increased year after year. He had to maintain the place, but he obviously did, and he was able to sell it for $300,000 25 years later. So definitely good incentive to do that if that's something you're looking at doing, building your portfolio. If you want to invest, to me, investing in real estate is probably one of the best things you can do. It's better than the stock market, in my opinion, because you can touch it. It's real property. You can touch it. You can feel it. You could love it. You could hate it, whatever. But it's right there. And somebody has to live somewhere. So whether you sell it and you can't sell it because you're asking too much for it, if it's just not a sellable property, you can definitely rent it out when you're Fort Bragg. So obviously, even though the scale is different right now, where it's a lot of renters but not enough inventory, it's gonna bounce back out eventually. It's gonna take some time, but it will bounce back out eventually. But you always have people who looking to rent here at Fort Bragg because they come here for a couple years. Soldiers do. They don't want to buy. They get what they call BAH to, you know, live off base. So they were more than happy to probably rent your property for a couple of years and then are out of here. So you're always going to be able to find a good renter. In my opinion, really, it's up to you how you do that. So, you know, case by case compared to other cities, I think investing in Fayetteville is probably one of the best ideas you could do. And just a little reminder, guys, if you think of buying, selling, or investing in the Fayetteville surrounding areas, please reach out to the team and I. We would love to help you. So next thing I discuss is going to be, what does the future look like for renters versus buyers from now of 2024 to 2029. So according to U.S. News, they're saying home sales will remain constrained as long as mortgage rates stay over 6%, but are expected to rise as mortgage rates and inflation decline. Home prices most likely hold their value in short term due to the lack of supply, but that could vary between markets due to local fundamentals. So of course, that is a nationwide stat. I would say, yes, I'd agree. With Fayetteville, North Carolina, we're only going to see an increase of home prices. Now, I have seen it kind of balance out just a little bit just because interest rates are up to about 7% at the time of this video. But as soon as those rates drop to 6%, like I just said a few minutes ago, well, nationwide, I think we're going to see an influx of potential buyers, and we're going to see bidding wars again. And we're already short inventory, so it's going to be tougher to buy a house. Now, I do want interest rates to drop, obviously, because I want everyone to be able to buy a house, and we just don't know what's going to happen. And then we're also in an election year also. That could play a big difference of what happens next. The next thing the U.S. News said, it said rental growth should flatten out as more supply hits growing markets but will rise faster for single family versus multi-family units. Yeah, I had to agree. We don't have a lot of multi-family units here, apartment complexes, duplexes, triplexes, things like that. So definitely single family homes are we have more of those than we have of apartments. They also said mortgage rates will likely range from 6 to 7% unless there's a recession, but short-term lending rates will gradually fall by late of 2024. And that's just a prediction, guys. They also said 7 months ago, and I even did a video about it, that the rates are going to drop 6 times this year, and it has not dropped once this year. So those things, play a big difference. Renting versus buying in Fayetteville. Well, it's a big decision, and it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. The choice really depends on you. Of course, I think you knew that from the beginning. It depends on your finances, where you at. You may not want to own a home. You plan on being here for 2-3 years because of the military, and you're like, I'm not going to buy a house there. I'm going to leave in 2, 3, 5 years. So I don't blame you. Rent. But then again, you may be, wanting to start a portfolio and start investing. So I would say, definitely take advantage of a VA loan, get a 0 down payment, buy that house in a couple years. If you're going to rent it out, move to your next duty station. If you're going to stay here, maybe rent it out and buy a bigger house. I have a soldier who he's not no longer a soldier, but he did that for 3 homes. He bought his first house, lived in it for 1 year, bought a bigger house the second year, and bought a bigger house the third year. And he's going to stay in this house for a little longer because now he's got 2 little boys, and his wife's like, I'm tired of moving every year. But he has 2 rental properties plus his main house, and he'll probably end up buying another house in the next couple years. So if you convince yourself that you're going to buy in Fayetteville, North Carolina, please reach out to the team and I. We would love to help you. Unfortunately, if you're looking to rent, I can't help you. We don't have a property management team with eXp Realty, and there's so many property management teams out there. I could not recommend one over another that I would think is better or worse. I would definitely tell you to get on Zillow and look up rental properties, or go to renters.com or apartments.com. And if you enjoyed this video, please check this video right here that YouTube recommends for you. And if you would like our help, please reach out to us. All my information is in the screen in front of you, in the description below, and I answer every phone call, email, or text message personally. And I'll see you guys in the next video.